Hey, what's up, studs? Ryan here, MandRproductions with Ask M&R episode 194, the series where I answer your questions. If you have a question you want answered on next week's episode, make sure you leave it down in the comment section below and leave a like on the video while you're at it. Also, Teespring finally restocked the tan, cream color, whatever shirts of this shirt, so it's linked down in the description below. Anyway, first question from Christopher says, I noticed on the LEGO Titanic that in the description at the bottom, it says it's the largest LEGO set ever. Thoughts? Well, as far as it actually being the largest LEGO set ever, that is up for debate, and if a lawyer was reading it, I think they would probably tell you that it's probably the largest by some parameter that is not piece count. Like, there's probably a technicality here. It is not the largest LEGO set ever. In fact, LEGO touts the world map as the largest LEGO set ever on its description page, and it has like 4,000 more pieces than the Titanic, so how can this be? Well, it can't. Historically, the largest LEGO set ever, when referred to by really anyone, is by piece count. This is not the largest LEGO set by piece count. As much as I disagree, as much as I don't believe the world map is a true world's largest LEGO set, it is the LEGO set with the biggest number on the box, so you have to give it credit. Now, that being said, I believe the Titanic is significantly longer than even a set like the Super Star Destroyer, which is already incredibly long, so it's got that going for it. Maybe it's the largest in terms of length, but I don't know. It's weird that they're touting it as the largest. It just feels like a marketing gimmick at this point. It's kind of redundant. Like, it's not really, because the world map is, and you already said the world map was the largest, so how is this the largest? It just feels like a lot of backtracking because they realized, oh my god, the Titanic is such a cooler set to call the largest set, which I agree. Frank says, since the LEGO Titanic is based on a tragedy, could we see a LEGO Tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise set? Good one. The Brick Chap says, do you think there will be any more Stranger Things sets? If so, what would you like to see? Absolutely, there's definitely going to be more Stranger Things sets. It's a match made in heaven there, especially with Season 4 coming out next year. It's like guaranteed in my mind that we'll be getting a Stranger Things set, maybe more, in 2022. Like, some figure packs would be great. It'd be nice to have some minifigures to go along with whatever they're coming out with, because they just clearly can't do all the characters in a single $200 set. Maybe a CMF series, but very unlikely they would actually do that. I mean, you're either going to get something like a Starcourt Mall or like whatever is a main build of Season 4. I feel like there's been enough lead time on Season 4 to have something from that in LEGO form next year, but yeah, I have no idea what they would do otherwise, because Starcourt Mall is like the one that most people have been asking for, desiring. Juicy Koala says, other than Jedi Bob, what is one Jedi you would want the most with a new figure design? I would really love, from the 2003 Clone Wars, a shirtless Kit Fisto with like underwater lightsaber and everything. This is one of my like clear memories I have in my head from being a kid watching this on Cartoon Network and everything. I would love a shirtless Kit Fisto. It would look so great. You'd have to give him different head mold and everything so he can have like his, I don't know what they call him, his hair or whatever, flying around a little bit more, but man, this is one that's definitely up there. Bad Boy Film says, do you think there's a possibility of a clone turbo tank in the coming years, UCS or otherwise? There's always a possibility. In fact, they just released a clone turbo tank. You get a foil pack and you're gonna be happy with it, Bad Boy Films. That's right, the foil packs. I mean, they're nice, I guess. I don't really count them as real LEGO sets, although at some point I'm going to buy them all, and then I'll count them as real LEGO sets, but until then, it makes me feel better if they're not. You can't buy them in America. They're literally not available here. You have to buy them on eBay. Jedi Bob says, we ever start collecting LEGO modulars and we ever build a LEGO city? Also, it's chill meeting you at Brickford. Brickford was an awesome time, bro. But LEGO modulars. I bought a couple earlier this year. I liked the police station that I built and made a review on, and I think I'm done. I think I'm done buying LEGO modulars. I actually bought like one or two other at the time just because I was like, oh, I want to get into these. And then, you know, my feelings on LEGO as a company changed. And so I kind of don't want to go down that path. And so as of now, I don't plan on doing that. I feel like in the future, I kind of touched on this a few episodes back, if I do anything that has to do with an expansive landscape, I'll get into model trains. And that's just something I'd always wanted to do as a kid. And like, if I'm 50 years old and I got the money, like, sounds like a grand old time. From Leighton here, he says, how do you feel about people getting minifigures graded these days? I've seen some graded figures selling on eBay, and I've also heard of people getting sealed sets graded for the box condition. So fortunately, graded LEGO items are not all that common. I do not like the idea of grading items very much. I have seen how much of a scam it can be in some industries, especially with the gaming industry. I suppose if I was so cunning, I could make the scam work in the LEGO space and do do what the gaming people did and make millions of dollars, right? It's absolutely a ridiculous story, quite frankly. Carl Jobs, I think his name, did a whole YouTube video on it. Crazy, crazy story. But point being, I just don't think graded things are all that great. I don't personally have any desire to purchase any graded item. It just costs more money. Like, why would I buy it from someone who graded it? Like, I'm just gonna buy the cheaper one that's still new in box and has a perfectly fine box. You know, that's the sort of thing to me. I don't see it as something that a lot of people do. I almost never see it. You might be the only comment that I have seen in the last like year bring up the idea of anybody getting things graded. It's just not a very common thought for Lego collecting. And like I said, I think that's good. I think it's good that it's somewhat pure in that sense, where you're avoiding the potential of scamming, like legitimate scam, like really deep scam that like they had going on in the gaming space with all these sealed retro video games. I just feel like it's extra and it's not necessary. So, moving on from FJ Studios, he says, do you know why the advent calendar is always out of stock everywhere? Well, here in the UK, it's very rare. Love the vids. Here's the rule with the advent calendars. They are a short-term item, my dude. They are available from September 1st until they're out of stock. And so the short answer to your question is because people bought them all, that's why they're out of stock. But the more in-depth answer is they are not an item that's going to be replenished for years to come. They're an item that comes out in September and in a lot of places is sold out in like mid-November and not coming back in stock because it's not an item that's going to be restocked into 2022. So Lego just kind of makes however many they make, I would assume, and they're out there and then they sell out and it's done. So like if you want an advent calendar, buy it in September when it comes out on lego.com and you're done, versus obviously in your position now waiting until middle of October, and you know, you might not get one if you're not on top of it. Schnuggle says, I noticed that the Penguin in the new Batmobile set has a new stud shooter. I was wondering, what are your thoughts? So, it looks like this was a big change. There was a picture, I think Falcon Fan put up, of the stud shooter before and after. So these sets for the Batman movie were supposed to come out like a year ago, and obviously they didn't because of COVID. But basically there was a change here where the stud shooter was the old stud shooter, and now it's the new stud shooter. So I think we're seeing a wholesale change with stud shooters. They are actually, in my mind here, completely doing away with the older style of stud shooter. It was also reported that the Razor Crest Microfighter wouldn't have the traditional stud shooter either. It would have a new type of shooter. I can only assume this is the same stud shooter that we're going to be seeing on the Razor Crest Microfighter. So it's kind of exciting to see what we're going to be getting there as far as that piece goes. But yeah, functionally it looks to be the same. It's going to shoot a stud out of a barrel. Well, a little bit more of a barrel on this one than on the previous stud shooter, but point remains. PYTY says, how long in advance do LEGO start planning their sets? I'm asking because I've noticed a trend between some current sets and some of the not accepted LEGO ideas. For example, I've seen the Titanic sets on ideas for over 5 years now, and all of a sudden they release a set as a creator expert. I have seen the same happening with other sets as well. So, you know, the planning of LEGO sets in time varies a lot. I know it can be done in as little as 6 weeks, maybe even less, depending on the set, and it can take as long as many years. It just depends, right? So with a set like the Titanic, apparently it was first brought up in 2019, so 2 years ago, and here we are with the finished product 2 years later. So you can see Titanic from start to finish took 2 years. Titanic being a ginormous set, a lot of other sets aren't going to take that long to get done. Point being, that is still within your 5-year range of seeing things on LEGO Ideas, but my point is, a LEGO Titanic is not a novel idea. Like, the thing with LEGO Ideas is you're going to have a lot of crossover with what LEGO is coming out with anyway. Like, I can sit here and say, oh, it would be so cool if LEGO made an Imperial Star Destroyer. And then when they make an Imperial Star Destroyer next year, like, they stole my idea? Not really how that works. Same with LEGO Titanic. A LEGO Titanic is just, like, it was an obvious thing to make, you know? Like, oh, hey, let's make the most famous boat ever. I think it would be a bigger deal, kind of, if a project had reached 10,000 for the Titanic. I couldn't find a Titanic project that reached 10,000 and got denied. I've only seen projects that were on there. That's not to say they drew some inspiration from there or not, but they're not beholden to, like, give credit to anybody on LEGO Ideas that has ever posted anything. Like, the reality is anything LEGO thinks of, someone somewhere at some point has probably also thought of. Like, it's hard to have a unique idea in this world with the internet. Like, it's just not gonna happen. So I don't think they necessarily stole the Titanic idea from somebody. Imster Build says, I saw your older video of your rare LEGO collection. I really enjoyed it. Could you consider making a new one in 2021? I have been wanting to make a new version of that for quite a while. I've been picking up some really cool old stuff, including very recently I got this Kabaya box store display set for LEGO Star Wars, like a Japanese LEGO Star Wars set, basically. Really cool. Really awesome piece to add to the collection. However, I can't do another, like, there's a lot of holdups right now in my life for things like this. I just cannot do videos like that and collection videos in general until I move. I don't know when I'm moving. I cannot find a house to buy. When I find a house to buy, somebody offers $400,000 over asking price. You can see my conundrum here. But at some point, I will be free of the ball and chain. I will have my own house. I will be able to spread my wings and make all of these awesome collection videos that I've been dying to make. But the reality of it really is like I couldn't possibly find everything I need to find for this video. And if I did, it would take me like a week of just searching through boxes and looking for things. So that's the same reason I can't do things like a Clone Army video. I just don't, like, I want, like, if I do a Clone Army video, I don't want to be missing like 10% of my stuff. I want to have all of my stuff. So it's a waiting game for me at this point. It kind of sucks. Kevin says, so I've never bought a UCS set on Black Friday, but I really want to get my hands on the AT-AT. Should I be waiting outside the store for hours ahead of time? 100%. The AT-AT is going to be a very hot ticket item. Now, my experience with showing up early for LEGO Star Wars sets goes as follows. We had the UCS Millennium Falcon. I showed up like 3 hours early. I was like 7th in line, and the store only had 26. That was Orlando. Then the next year for the Master Builder Series Cloud City, I showed up 3 hours early, and there were only ever 3 people in line. I was the last person in line when the store opened, basically, and like there were plenty. And then the next year with the UCS Star Destroyer, I was pretty early. I actually don't even remember that one, but I got that one no problem. But like, yeah, if you're gonna go for the UCS AT-AT on Black Friday, like you may as well show up 3 hours early and be safe. Like, it's better safe than sorry, in my opinion, especially with such an expensive set at the holiday times, a set that is going to be one of the most popular of the year by far. It's the absolute optimal strategy, other than like ordering online at midnight, which if you're on there at midnight, you're probably going to get one. But if you want it the day it comes out on that Friday, you gotta be there. So yeah, get there early. The Tonight Show ESP says, why don't you work for LEGO? You'd be a great advisor to LEGO about what fans want for LEGO Star Wars. One, they probably couldn't pay me enough. There would probably be some stipulation in the contract where I couldn't do YouTube videos or something dumb like that, which makes sense, I guess. Like, or at the very least, there'd be a lot of NDAs where I couldn't, like, and that would be fine, I guess, if they did pay me enough, where, like, I could just not talk about future LEGO Star Wars sets at all, but, like, I help them make their stuff great, which, like, that would make a lot of sense. Like, if they paid me, I don't know, I don't even want to say a number, but like some ridiculous, I don't know, ridiculous amount of money is subjective, certainly. Amount of money, though, and then I just, you know, can't make Star Wars rumor videos, can't do this and that, but like I actually get to help them decide what products are good to make. That'd be a pretty sweet gig, and I feel like I could definitely bring a lot to the table as far as keeping everybody happy for the fandom. They are a multi-billion-dollar company, so they certainly have the money, but like it would just have to be an amount of money that basically makes up what I would feel like I'm losing out on with potential income on YouTube, and like how much I have to scale back here and what I do and what I talk about. So like there's a lot there. And then the other thing is like, do I have to live in Denmark? Because I'm not moving to Denmark. Like basically everyone that works for LEGO either lives in Denmark or Connecticut. I don't really want to live in either of those places. So that's a deal breaker kind of for me. I want to live in Boston, Florida, maybe Georgia. That's it. And if I live in Boston, I'm living in the city. That's like that. Those are my places to live right now for me, and like on the table. So that's another deal breaker. But like it would be like a really cool job. Like as a kid, you know, I always want to be a LEGO designer. I would not be a good LEGO designer, straight up. Like I can't build. It's not my thing. I like the sets, I like buying them, but I can't, like, I couldn't make them. Like, I'm not sitting here telling you I can, but like, I feel like I'd be pretty good at picking what it's time to make, bring back, especially, you know, sign a god-tier number of NDAs, and, you know, you find out, you know, what's coming in future shows. You know, you get a little bit of early access to that kind of stuff, so you can see, you know, oh, there should be a Slave One coming out because of this and that. I don't know, there's a lot of things, but it'd be a pretty cool gig. I'd be down. Phantom says, why is LEGO so expensive in different parts of the world? I live in Sweden. As an example, the Moff Gideon's light cruiser is about 2,000 SEK. That's $229 US. Please explain this. Also love your content. So, this is the place where this is probably what I defend LEGO the most on, is international pricing. You are getting screwed twice here, because on LEGO.com, Moff Gideon's cruiser is 1,800 SEK, which is $200 less than whatever you're saying. So you're probably looking at another retailer who's already upcharging you, on top of the fact that your country has a 25% value-added tax baked into the price of the item. The deal with LEGO, and really anything outside of the United States taxes on items that you buy are additional to the price you see. So the price for Moff Gideon's cruiser in the US is $160, plus whatever the tax is in the given state that a person lives in. So yeah, it's complicated, but essentially your country is screwing you over, not LEGO. Final question from Riley says, I love your channel and your discussion on whether making the Titanic set is appropriate brings up the question, would they ever make a Twin Tower set? So I think the situations surrounding, like, obviously the loss of life is comparable and terrible in both situations, but like the events that led to what happened are significantly different in both cases. That being said, the best example I can give as a historical context to like what LEGO feels about these sorts of things is the Mandalay Bay as a hotel in Las Vegas. There was a really bad thing that happened in Vegas a few years back, and they were going to release a LEGO Architecture Las Vegas set like within a few months, and they immediately canceled the set, and then they redid the set, removing the specific hotel and replacing it with a different build in the architecture set. So for example, if LEGO were to do Twin Towers, I would assume they would have been in the architecture set. They did, however, put the One World Trade Center in, which is basically the building they replaced the Twin Towers with. So I think that's as close as you'll ever get to that sort of thing. You can obviously build your own. I'm sure there's models out there, but I feel like terrorist things are not things that LEGO is going to touch. That can be for better or for worse based on your opinion, but yeah, it's just not something I ever see them touching based on their history, and they had the opportunity to do so with the New York skyline set. Obviously, it wouldn't have been a modern New York skyline. It would have been one from 20 years ago, but still, not something I see them ever doing, and it would just create a lot of controversy, a lot more so than the Titanic, because you also got to look at the time, you know? It's only been 20 years since Twin Towers, and obviously it's still something very fresh in a lot of people's minds. I was way too young. I don't remember the day. I'm sure some people watching this video remember the day. Some people weren't alive. Just depends on who you are. And obviously when you look at Titanic, it's been 110 years versus 20 years, and anyone that was on the ship is now passed, and you know, there's no one living that is possibly affected by the existence of a LEGO Titanic set, let alone, I mean, they made the movie and everything. It's all a mute point, I think. But yeah, that's it for this episode of Ask M&R Productions. If you guys enjoyed, please hit the like button. You can check out the It Is What It Is shirt with the link in the description below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.